I don't know where to start. Maybe it began at the hospital. Maybe it started long before that. And I was just too blind to see the signs. But if you're reading this, if you ever wake up one day and find something on you that wasn't there before, something small, something like a ring, take it off. Take it off and never look back. Because I didn't. And now, I don't know how much time I have left. I was in the hospital that night, visiting my father. He had been in and out of surgery, complications stacking on top of each other like a slow, inevitable collapse. I had been sitting by his bed for hours, listening to the mechanical beep of the heart monitor, the quiet hum of machines keeping him tethered to this world. I was exhausted. My body ached. My mind was drowning in the sterile scent of antiseptic and sickness. And at some point, I must have dozed off. It was only for a few minutes, at least that's what I thought. But when I woke up, there was something on my hand. A ring. Small, delicate, silver, with an intricate pattern carved into its band. It sat snugly on my finger, as if it had always been there. My breath hitched. I didn't wear rings. Never had. And I knew I hadn't been wearing one when I arrived. My skin prickled with unease. I turned my hand over, studying it under the dim fluorescent lights. The ring was old, ancient even. The metal was cool to the touch, its engravings faintly worn. I tried to take it off. It wouldn't budge. I swallowed hard, twisting it, pulling harder, but it was stuck, tight against my skin. A creeping dread settled in my stomach. I glanced around. The hospital room was the same, too quiet, too empty. My father lay motionless in his bed, breathing shallowly. No one else was here. And yet, I wasn't alone. I felt it. A presence. Something unseen, standing just beyond my vision. Watching. Waiting. I left the hospital in a daze. The ring was still on my finger. No matter how much I tugged at it, no matter how much soap and water I used in the restroom before I left, it wouldn't come off. I could feel it against my skin, pressing. The night air was thick with humidity, the distant hum of traffic blending into the restless murmurs of the city. But beneath all that noise, there was something else. Something wrong. A whisper. Faint. Barely audible. A voice. Calling my name. I walked faster. But no matter how far I went, how many turns I took, the voice followed. Soft. Insistent. You have it now. I broke into a run. That was 2 days ago. I haven't slept since. The ring is still on my finger. Still tight. But the worst part is that I think it's getting tighter. Like it's sinking into my skin. Like it's becoming a part of me. And last night, I saw something in the mirror. Not just my reflection. Something behind me. A figure. Tall. Draped in shadow. And on its hand, it wore a ring. The same ring. The same exact ring. And when I turned around, there was no one there. But the whispering had grown louder. And the ring was even tighter. I didn't sleep. Not really. Maybe I drifted in and out, caught in that eerie space between wakefulness and dreaming, where time bends and reality warps. But every time my eyes shut, I felt it, that presence, standing over me, watching. And the whispers, they never stopped. Soft at first, like a breath against my ear. But as the night deepened, they grew insistent, demanding, you have it now. It belongs to you. I could feel them pressing against my skin, just beneath the surface like something was trying to get in. I tried to ignore it. I failed. By morning, the ring had changed. It wasn't just tight anymore. It was embedded. The skin around it was raw, slightly swollen, as if the ring had been pressed into my flesh. I ran my fingers over it, wincing at the sharp pain that shot up my hand. It wasn't just stuck, it was becoming part of me. I felt a sickening lurch in my stomach. I needed help. I needed to get this thing off. I went to a jeweler first. A small, dusty shop tucked between a laundromat and a pawn shop. The kind of place that smelled like old metal and forgotten trinkets. The man behind the counter was in his 60s, glasses perched on the edge of his nose, his hands calloused from years of working with delicate pieces. I showed him my hand. He frowned. Stuck, huh? I nodded. My throat was dry. Let's see what we can do. He took my hand, inspecting the ring closely. His fingers were rough but careful, pressing gently against the swollen skin. Then his expression changed. His eyes narrowed. His lips parted slightly, but no words came out. His grip on my hand tightened. Where did you get this? His voice was low, almost fearful. I hesitated. I don't know. I woke up with it on my finger. The man's face paled. He stepped back abruptly, shaking his head. I can't help you. What? What? My pulse was racing. He looked at me, something like pity in his eyes. Then, without another word, he turned and walked into the back of the shop. A moment later, I heard the click of a door locking. He wasn't coming back. I stared at the empty counter, my breath coming in shallow gasps. I looked down at my hand. The ring felt heavier, as if it knew, as if it was mocking me. I tried everything after that. A doctor, a locksmith, even a butcher's knife. Nothing worked. The doctor told me the ring wasn't just stuck, it was fused. The skin had grown around it, as if I had been wearing it for years. The locksmith took one look and laughed. This ain't metal I've ever seen before. The knife? I couldn't go through with it, because as soon as the blade touched the ring, I felt something move beneath my skin. Something shift, like something inside my hand twitched. I dropped the knife. I haven't touched it since. The whispers are getting worse. They don't just come at night anymore. They follow me, in the silence of my apartment, in the hum of the streetlights, even in the voices of strangers. Yesterday, I passed a woman in the grocery store. She wasn't looking at me. She was on the phone, speaking to someone about dinner plans. But as I walked by, her voice changed. Mid-sentence, her lips froze. Then she turned her head slightly, just enough for me to hear the whisper slip from her mouth. You can't take it off. I ran. I can't do this anymore. I can't keep pretending this is just some weird hallucination or a trick of my mind. This thing on my hand isn't just a ring. It's something else, and I think it wants to stay. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I'm afraid. I think it's starting to move. The ring won't let go of me. No one can help. No one even wants to help. It's not just that the ring is stuck. It's as if it's sinking into me. I feel it pressing deeper, threading into my skin like roots burrowing into the earth. Some mornings I wake up convinced it has disappeared completely, absorbed into my hand, but when I look, it's still there. It's just tighter, like it's feeding. I don't know how much more I can take. I stop going outside. People stare at me, not just at my hand, but at me. At first, I thought I was just paranoid, that the exhaustion was making me delusional. But I know now that it's real. I see it in their eyes. A woman at the bus stop glanced at me, then snapped her head away, so fast I thought she'd hurt herself. A man at the coffee shop was stirring his drink absent-mindedly until I stepped in line. He froze. He sat motionless, his spoon clinking against the cup, staring blankly at my hand. Like he knew, like he recognized it. And then, without blinking, he whispered under his breath, "You should not have taken it. I left before my order was called. I don't think I'll ever go back. I've always had bad dreams. But now, they don't feel like dreams at all. Every night, I see them. Shadowed figures, standing just beyond the reach of light. Motionless. Silent. Watching. But last night was different. Last night, I woke up to the sound of footsteps. They weren't in my dream. They were in my apartment. I lay frozen in my bed, my breath caught in my throat. The footsteps were slow, deliberate, like someone was pacing. Back and forth. Back and forth. I turned my head slightly, my ears straining to listen. The sound was coming from the living room. Then, just as I mustered the courage to move, the footsteps stopped. Silence stretched through the darkness. I could hear my own heartbeat pounding in my skull. And then, a whisper, closer than ever, right outside my bedroom door. You have it now. The knob turned. I lunged for the lamp, my fingers fumbling for the switch. The moment light flooded the room, the noise vanished. No footsteps, no whisper, just silence. But the door was slightly open, and I know I locked it. I started looking for answers. I didn't care how crazy it sounded. I needed to know what this thing was. The first real clue came from an old forum post, buried deep in the recesses of a paranormal website. It was dated back to 1996, years before the internet became what it is today. The title? The Ring That Wasn't Mine. I clicked on it. The post was written by someone named Daniel J. He described waking up with an unfamiliar silver ring on his hand, unable to remove it. He talked about the whispers, the watching figures, the dreams that bled into reality. But the part that made my stomach turn was the ending. I found out where it came from. An unmarked grave. A man was buried with it, but the ring never stayed buried. Every few years, it finds someone new, someone unlucky enough to wake up with it on their finger. If you have it now, I'm sorry. I never found a way to remove it. And if you're reading this, I'm already gone. The post had no replies. The user's account was deleted. I stared at the screen, my vision blurring. I could hear my pulse in my ears, loud and unrelenting. This thing, this ring, had been passed from person to person, and no one had ever gotten rid of it. Not without disappearing. That night, I heard knocking. Not from inside my apartment this time. From my front door. Soft. Rhythmic. 3 slow knocks. I didn't move. I didn't even breathe. The air was thick with wrongness. The knocking came again. 3 knocks. Deliberate. Measured. I reached for my phone, my hand shaking. I opened the security camera app. The live feed from the camera outside my door flickered on, and my blood ran cold. There was someone standing there. A man, tall and thin, his face obscured by shadows. He stood perfectly still, but his hand was lifted, poised to knock again, and on his finger, he wore the ring. I dropped my phone. The screen went dark as it hit the floor. The knocking stopped. A silence so thick it felt like the air itself had frozen. Then, I heard the door handle turn. Not shaking, not testing, just turning, slowly, as if he knew, as if he was letting himself in. I bolted. I didn't stop to think. I didn't stop to breathe. I ran to the bathroom, slammed the door shut, and locked it. And then, the whisper came, closer than ever. You have it now. The voice was inside the bathroom, right behind me. I turned and saw my own reflection staring back at me. But the face in the mirror wasn't mine. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. The thing in the mirror, the thing wearing my face, tilted its head, studying me. But its expression was wrong. Its mouth curved too wide, lips stretching in an imitation of a smile that didn't belong on my face. Its eyes, my eyes, weren't human anymore. There was something behind them, something ancient, something hungry. I stumbled backward, my heel catching on the tiled floor. My breath came in short, ragged gasps. The mirror version of me stepped forward. But I didn't move. I wasn't moving. It was acting on its own. The glass warped slightly, like a thin layer of water separating us. And then it raised its hand. The hand with the ring. The silver band pulsed, actually pulsed like a heartbeat. Dark veins of something unnatural spreading from the metal into the mirror's version of my skin. I felt it, like my own flesh was crawling, like something was moving under my skin, twisting, burrowing deeper. And then the reflection spoke. But its lips didn't move. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere at once. You cannot give it back. A strangled sob escaped me. You cannot be free. I pressed myself against the cold bathroom wall. You belong to it now. And then, the worst part, the reflection blinked, and when it opened its eyes again, they were completely black. No whites, no pupils, just endless, empty voids. And it smiled. The bathroom light exploded. I woke up on the bathroom floor. My head ached. My body felt wrong, like I wasn't fully in it anymore. The mirror was shattered. Long, jagged cracks spiderwebbed across the glass, splintering my reflection into a dozen distorted versions of myself. But they weren't broken the way they should have been, because each fractured piece showed a different version of me. One with sunken, hollow cheeks. One with no mouth. One staring back at me, even when I turned away. I staggered to my feet. My hand ached. The ring burned against my flesh. I looked down, and my stomach dropped. My fingers were thinner, like they had stretched, like my hand wasn't mine anymore. I stumbled out of the bathroom, gasping for air, my pulse hammering in my skull. I needed to get out of the apartment. Away from the ring. But when I reached the front door, my fingers stopped. I don't know why. I wanted to turn the knob. I wanted to run. But my body refused. Like something else was making the decision. Like I wasn't the only one controlling it anymore. And then the door unlocked. From the outside, I froze. A shadow spilled through the doorway. Tall. Motionless. My breath came in shallow gasps. My hands were trembling. I didn't want to look. I had to look. A man stood there. The same man from my security camera. The one who had knocked on my door. The one who had worn the ring. His face was pale. Lips cracked, like he hadn't spoken in years. His eyes were dead, but his mouth moved. And when he spoke, his voice was my own. It's time. I staggered backward. You've worn it long enough. His fingers twitched. His hands curled, mirroring mine. And then I saw it. His ring finger. The skin was mangled. Torn. Like he had tried, really tried to remove the ring. And failed. I shook my head. No. He stepped inside. The lights flickered. The temperature dropped. And then I heard them. The whispers. Not just one, a chorus, rising, screaming. My vision blurred. My body convulsed. The man grabbed my wrist. His grip was ice. The moment his skin touched mine, I saw it, everything, the others before me. Hundreds, thousands, each waking up with the ring, each trying to remove it, each failing, each changing, their bodies warping, their minds dissolving. Until they weren't human anymore. Until they became part of the ring. Until they found someone new. I wasn't the first, and I wouldn't be the last. The man, or what was left of him, tightened his grip. The ring on his hand shuddered. And then, before I could scream, it slid off. I watched, paralyzed, as the metal peeled away from his flesh, slowly, agonizingly, like ripping skin from bone. And then it dropped. It hit the floor between us, motionless. For a moment, nothing happened. And then the ring began to move. It slithered like something alive, twisting and writhing against the floor. And then it lunged, right at my finger. I tried to pull away, but my own body betrayed me. My hand lifted, my fingers spread, and as if guided by something unseen, something ancient and inescapable, I slipped the new ring onto my finger. The moment it touched my skin, a voice whispered in my ear. A voice I recognized. My own. You have it now. The moment the ring slid onto my finger, I stopped being myself. It wasn't like losing control. It was worse than that. It was like I was splitting apart. Like my thoughts were being rewritten, my memories being shuffled, erased, rearranged. I was drowning in a vast, black void, but somehow I was still aware. And I wasn't alone. I could feel them. The ones before me. The ones who had worn the ring. The ones who had been consumed. They weren't gone. They were still inside. Trapped. And now I was one of them. When I finally blinked, I wasn't in my apartment anymore. The walls were different, old. Faded wallpaper peeled from the corners, and the air smelled of dust and rotting wood. I knew this place. I'd seen it before. Not in life, but in my dreams. The house. The one that had appeared in my nightmares over and over again. The one with the whispers in the walls. I was standing in a long, dimly lit hallway. Flickering candlelight cast trembling shadows across the floor. My fingers twitched. The ring felt heavier than ever. And then a voice. Soft. Familiar. You're almost ready. I turned. A figure stood at the end of the hallway. The man. The one before me. The stranger who had given me the ring. Only now he looked different. His skin was paler, his eyes deeper, sunken into a face that no longer seemed entirely human. He smiled, and for the first time, I noticed something terrifying. His hands were bare. The ring was gone. He had passed it on, and now he was free. I stumbled backward. No, this isn't real. The man shook his head. It's real. His voice was calm, too calm. This is what happens. This is what has always happened. I pressed my fingers to my temples, my breathing shallow. Why? I choked out. Why me? His smile widened. Because it was your turn. I don't know how long I stood there. Time was strange in that place. Minutes stretched into hours. Or maybe hours shrank into seconds. It didn't matter. I already knew the truth. The ring was a curse. A chain that stretched back centuries. Each person who wore it was chosen. Each person who wore it was claimed. And each person who wore it had to find another. That was the only way to escape. The only way to be free. Do you understand now? The man whispered. I looked at him, really looked at him. I saw the relief in his eyes. The exhaustion. The quiet, desperate gratefulness that it wasn't him anymore. That he had passed it on. That he had given me the burden instead. The moment I realized that my body moved on its own, I lunged for him. But my hand, my cursed hand, stopped inches from his throat. The ring burned against my skin. A silent reminder. I couldn't touch him. I couldn't hurt him. Because he wasn't bound anymore. Because I was. I let out a ragged scream. He just smiled. You'll find someone. I shook my head furiously. No, I won't. I won't do this to someone else. The man only chuckled. You will. He turned, and just like that, he vanished. Like he had never been there at all. I woke up on the floor of my apartment. The moment my eyes opened, I felt it. The ring. Still on my finger. Still part of me. I wanted to scream. I wanted to rip it off. But I already knew it wouldn't come off. Not until I gave it away. Not until I found someone else. And for the first time, I understood why the others had done it. Why they had passed it on. It wasn't just about escape. It was about survival. Because the longer you wear it, the less of you remains. It feeds on you. It hollows you out until there's nothing left but an empty shell. Until you become one of them. And if that happens, you don't just die. You stay inside the ring forever. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. I sat in the darkness, staring at my hand, feeling the weight of all the lies before me pressing down. I told myself I wouldn't do it. I told myself I wouldn't pass it on. But by the third night, I knew the truth. I didn't have a choice. Because the whispers had started. Because the shadows were moving in the corners of my vision. Because when I looked in the mirror, I didn't recognize my own face anymore. I wasn't me. Not fully. Not for much longer. So I did what they all did. I went outside. I walked the streets. I looked at people, really looked at them. And I waited. Waited for the next one. Waited for the stranger who would wake up with a ring that wasn't theirs. Waited for my turn to finally be over. I didn't want to, but I would. Because in the end, the ring always finds someone new. And now, it's waiting for you.